Here we go. Hello. I've always wanted to do that. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like, I don't even know. We're not even going to go there. Anyway, welcome to, this thing that I'm like now doing. Let me tell you something. It's so funny how the universe aligns you with somebody who literally, like, it's so funny. I feel like I was like standing on the edge of a cliff and I'm like, should I do this thing? And like, if jumping over the cliff is doing this thing, right? So it's like kind of like standing there and you're doing this cliff, and then the universe is literally like, I'm gonna bring somebody that is literally gonna kick you in the rear end and you're gonna go over the cliff. So for me, this is that. It's really a beautiful thing. You know, it was so funny. I have been really missing, okay, for those of you that know, many of you know this, I left Instagram, I left social media like 2 years ago. It's almost been 2 years, which is amazing. And really interesting is I haven't missed it at all. At all. But then what's kind of weird is for the past like 2 or 3 months, I've kind of found myself in this place of like, you know, I just kind of miss stories. I miss stories. You know, when I was on Instagram and when I was using it, it was kind of like weird because, you know, I started that account basically as an extension of the content creation work that I was doing. And it was really just a way for me to market myself. And then what was really interesting is with the addition of stories, I don't even know what happened. Like, I feel like, honestly, I was just such an impulsive person that Instagram creating stories to me was like, oh, you have no idea what you've done. Because basically I just started like sharing little snippets of my life. And, you know, for me, a lot of what I was experiencing at that time was I was just like fully involved and enthralled with the magic occurrences that were happening in my life. You know, I had lost my uncle in 2017, but we weren't like really that close. But then what was kind of weird is like, there was all of these very synchronistic occurrences that were happening in my life, like on his birthday and, you know, on the anniversary of his death. And there was just like all this crazy stuff. And so I was like starting to share that on Instagram stories. And I was getting so much feedback and so many people like interacting and DMing, and it was just kind of crazy because unintentionally I created like this little community where people were sharing just so much of who they were, and just I just felt like we were just like one big community of like-minded people who loved taking joy in the awe and wonder of this magical place that, you know, we are living. And so it's really quite interesting because that I was missing that element. I've been, you know, lately I've been really missing that. I've been missing just kind of being in the flow and sharing on the fly. And so what was really crazy is, you know, I come in alignment with Steven, and we haven't known each other that long. So he knew nothing about my Instagram stories. He knew nothing about how I was really vocal around that. And so we're sitting at the Fat Pelican having a drink, and he says to me, he's like, you know, you have this like quality about you that you could just like film on the fly. He's like, why don't you? And I, you know, giggled because I'm like, dude, you can tell that you just met me because you have no idea. Like, I was very immersed in stories and shared all the time. And I said to him, I'm like, I've actually been kind of missing it. And he's like, well, and he gets out his phone. He's like, let's do something. And so we started filming. And so it was just like this really beautiful moment. And regardless, you know, as to the topic, you know, which we talked about, seasonal depression, it's like, it just didn't matter because I knew for me that it was more or less just like, this was him and this was me. And he was just like, ping, you know? And so here we are. So that's the story of this. And so this will just be that. This will be, you know, me just sharing. And I'm really just kind of playing it by ear and see how it feels. And, you know, I don't want to have any restrictions or expectations around it in terms of like how often I share. I'm just going to share, you know, when topics, you know, I get a lot of questions, obviously, through my coaching business. So, you know, it's more or less just when I'm contemplating those issues or when I'm thinking about those types of things, it's just sharing. It's just sharing more like realizations and epiphanies and things like that, just more freely though, instead of the podcast format, which it's so funny because when I started, when I felt called to do the podcast, I was like, this is funny because I feel like the universe was literally just creating an elongated format to what I was already doing in Instagram stories. And then, you know, so I thought, oh, okay, like that's going to be my vehicle. And yet now, you know, I'm missing the shorter version. So now I'm kind of coming back. But to answer your question, because I know that it's kind of like on everybody's mind, does that mean that I'll be returning to social media? If I'm honest, you know, I've had to pop on social a few times in the past, like 6 months, I would say, for business reasons, and not to use the platform, but to contact people, or I've gotten contacted. And I just have to say, like, it still feels really, really foreign to me and doesn't really feel in alignment. Like, I feel like it's like a space. It's almost like stepping into a metaphysical store for the first time if you know nothing about spirituality. It's kind of like that. It's like you're just completely out of your element. And that's what I feel about social now. It just feels very much like I've opened the wrong door. It's like, or like I've walked into a room that I was not supposed to be in. So, you know, that's how I'm feeling right now. I am kind of putting it out to the universe that, you know, if I'm supposed to be on social media for whatever reason, that either I come into alignment with someone who can manage it all for me, because I think that that would be probably the greatest use of my time in executing that. I just feel like there's too many other priorities in my life where I really don't want to dedicate the time and the effort that is required with social. And so I just kind of trust, you know, I'm showing up here, and if it evolves over time where some of these videos are posted over there, then that's cool too. But honestly, these videos still might be a little too long for them to be on Instagram, because like Instagram, you know, it can only be like a minute, or I mean, in stories it could be segmented, but you know, I'm thinking that these are going to be anywhere between 3 and 12 minutes long. So, you know, I don't really know. I don't have the answer to that question. I'm just here. So, and we're doing this. So I'm excited, and I hope you are too. You know, don't look forward to, there's not going to be a lot of fun, like, there's not going to be a lot of fun video editing. I'm literally editing these videos. So it's not going to be like fancy. It's just going to be me. But anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you take pleasure in these. I hope they serve. That's my only intention, is I'm just showing up, and we're just going to see where we go. All right. I look forward to being in the flow. But in the meantime, you guys, I love you. Stay well. And you know.